In this course, we're going to be focusing on writing and speaking modules of the Duolingo English test. Before we move on, I want to tell you a bit about the Subscores, which as of July the 7th will be included in your Duolingo certificate, along with your overall score. As you can see, the Subscores are reported in 4 different categories: literacy, comprehension, conversation, and production. Let's see what each subscore actually means. Literacy assesses your reading and writing skills at the same time. This is for task types like C-test, yes or no visual vocabulary, and all the writing tasks. Let's move on to the next subscore, comprehension. The comprehension subscore evaluates both your reading and listening skills. This is mainly for receptive question types like C-test, dictation, elicited speech, which is also known as read aloud, and both yes or no vocabulary types. The third subscore is called conversation, which measures your proficiency in listening and speaking skills of English. So this subscore comes from question types like dictation, elicited speech, yes or no audio vocabulary, and all the speaking tasks. And moving on to the last but not least subscore, we've got production. This one is totally based on productive skills of English, which are writing and speaking. Production is almost always the lowest subscore in certificates based on a research by Duolingo, which is obvious because these two skills, namely writing and speaking, are most of the time the most difficult to deal with. Okay, so you should know that even the writing and speaking parts of the exam are scored by artificial intelligence and not by human examiners like the IELTS test. Duolingo uses algorithms which assess each task according to 7 categories of language features that you can see on your screens. The first 2, as you can see, are related to grammar. If you have good grammatical accuracy, it means you don't make many grammatical mistakes. In other words, you know how to use grammar correctly. Grammatical complexity is basically related to the structure that you decide to use in your writing and speaking. If you want to get a suitable score from this criterion, you have to use some advanced grammatical structures and tenses that are quite uncommon and not many candidates use. I'm going to teach you a couple of these structures today. So moving on to the next 2 language features, we've got lexical sophistication and lexical diversity. So basically, lexical means vocabulary, but what is the difference between the sophistication of vocabulary and the diversity of it? In order to achieve a high level of lexical sophistication, you'll need to use some low-frequency words and phrases. This means words and expressions that are not commonly used in everyday conversations. For a decent performance in lexical diversity, you should avoid repeating words and phrases. You should use synonyms, antonyms, and also be able to paraphrase parts of a sentence.